I think it was March, because like I applied December for the first one. January I got my rejection, and then it was nothing on February, nothing. And towards the end of March is when I got the first letter back, the first
Mm-hmm.
email, and I got accepted at the University of Missouri in Columbia, Missouri. Um,
Got you.
and then from there it was just acceptance letter after acceptance letter after acceptance letter, and I got accepted to every other school that I applied except for that first one.
Mm.
And so there was not, I could no longer deny it, right? I was like, okay, like, if I got accepted to every school that I applied to after I prayed and asked God to, like, either reject me, if, let them reject me if you want me here, let them accept me if you want me somewhere else.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, wow, like this is just, overwhelmingly yes, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
And you said that after the first letter, it was a couple months.
It was like a month and a half, almost 2 months. Like it was
Got you.
end of January, the first letter, and then it was February, and then most of March.
Got
So
you.
together, I think it must have been like 8 weeks, but it was like all of February and a few days in January, a few days in March.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I was asking because I was like, man, I imagine I guess the stress about it in the time before the next letters came in.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
must have
It
been.
was there was a lot of anxiety again, mostly because I didn't want to, like, I was being contacted by the people. I had already contacted people at Pine Tree High School,
Mm,
and they sent me back an email, and then they're like, hey, we just haven't heard back from you. And so I didn't want to reply and like lead them on thinking that I am coming over, and then change my mind last minute. I didn't want to like do them that way, right?
yeah,
So I was trying to be considerate of like their time and their work. But I also, the longer that it went, the harder it was not to answer back and say, actually, I'm applying to schools. But then if I did say that, it was just like it was a very messy situation. So yeah, there was a lot of anxiety and stress.
yeah. So you had an original plan to be it was to be a teacher, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Specifically, yeah. And then
right.
ever since that's evolved.
Yeah, so when you got hired, you got hired at the end of 2019, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
right?
Mm,
Uh, I had quit my job officially a year, sorry, a few months before that.
mm,
But I had, because of my position and in the company that I was at, I had promised to not leave right away. Uh, and I also didn't have anything to do right away, so I wasn't quitting right away. So I guess the way you will say it, I submitted my resignation. And then in the meantime, I was trying to find people to replace me, which you were supposed to be one of them. There was supposed to be more than one person. That
mm.
ended up not happening. Uh,
I see.
but I started looking for the team that was going to replace me. And while I did that, I was also applying to the University of Texas at Tyler, which
Got
is
you.
where I went to do my bachelor's while you were working at the company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you already had your associates before all this.
Yeah, no, I got an associate's degree right out of high school. I mean, I said
Okay,
I went to Killer College right out of high school,
got you.
but it took me 4 years to get my associates because I could only afford to take one or two classes per semester.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very rough time for my family, and so it took me 4 years to get an associate's degree. But by the time I finished that associate's degree, I was already working in that company that you and I worked.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I graduated, I basically just got promoted and then just kept working there. Like, there was nothing to it.
Yeah, yeah. I I had to leave there after more like just personal. I guess there was a growth within me, so I came to a decision. I remember it was October.
Yeah,
Well, actually, I gave him 90 days
right.
for time to train the next person, but so I had made my decision 90 days before October because I'm pretty sure October was the last month that I worked there. But I quit because, I felt still out of, how do I say? it wasn't really too overwhelming because I had gotten into the schedule and the repetition, because basically what we did over there is we had a monthly line of work set out for us. So we had
Right.
certain clients that we would do specific work for, and every month it was the same thing. Now, of course, there was times when we would add something else or do something specific, but for the most part, there was a lot of repetition, and there was a routine, and that was all good. But there was also some other secondary things that I just decided I didn't want to do anymore. And since at the time I was still dealing with depression, there was one day over there that I got really stressed out, and it wasn't really specific to work or anything. It was just more of a an overwhelming emotion that I was just having a how do you say, a breakdown, pretty much. And
Mm.
for some reason, for me, it's happened twice to me in my life, but what breakdowns do to me is they make me shave my head. Like, that's been a pattern. I did
Yeah.
it one time when I was in high school, and I did it again that year. Like, I don't know exactly what it is, because it's not like one thing led to another. It's more like a train of thought. I was just looking at myself in the mirror, and you know I just didn't like where I was at. I think a lot of people have been through that, where they look themselves in the mirror, but maybe not shaving their head. Maybe they do something else. But for me, for some reason, it ended up with me shaving my head.
I mean, changing your look is a very normal reaction to stressful situations.
Mm,
Uh, and yeah, like maybe shaving is it seems extreme, but you also have very normally have very short hair. Like women do like haircuts. If they have long hair, they often cut their hair like like a good way to like when that happens.
mm,
I know that I've gone and done the same thing where like I if I'm in a very stressful situation and I decide to change my look almost
yeah.
entirely. One benefit is that I have a beard, so sometimes I just shave my beard altogether, and it's like that's good enough. That
Mm,
there's something about changing the way you look that satisfies or helps with that stressful anxiety situation. I don't know what
yeah.
it is. I don't know if it's the desire that you wish things were different, and so the only thing you can change is yourself.
Mm,
You do that, and then that somehow helps.
yeah. It definitely is an interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I'm sure someone studied it somewhere, but
Yeah, I'm sure
yeah.
there's a study out there where he like talks about the amount of times people do it over the lifetime or whatever.
Yeah. But moving on from that, so basically I left, and I took up a job waiting tables. And like I said before, I could see the chapters in my life. And like, after I left that production company and started waiting tables again, I had served before, but going back into that industry, the food industry, I met a lot of people that are now friends. Some people that I co-host this podcast with,
Mm.
and a friend right now who's another musician who's moved up to Idaho right now, but we're
Oh
still
wow,
keeping
that's
contact.
far.
Yeah, well, he has a job at a rich people restaurant, so he didn't live the industry. He just left to go make more money. He works at some secret place where literally celebrities and like business rich people go.
Oh, that's insane. Secret place, secret job.
Yeah. Well, I say it's secret. There's a whole, like, I guess, subculture of people that know about it, because he tells me that a lot of people that work there are like foreigners, people working on visas, like people out of this
Mm.
country. But that's
Okay.
interesting. But yeah, I started doing serving again, and I did that for 2.5 years. And then I got to a point where God was just, I had been wanting to move into another direction and try to figure out what my career was. And after those 2 years that I was working there, I just a lot of praying, and came to the conclusion. I was like, I need to start working on my career, but I can't afford to go to school for it. I can't really. There's not really any other production companies here that I'm interested in. So I just needed to start my own business, and currently that's what I'm doing. It's been very slow, but I've got people in my life that have been helping me with finances and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
it's all a process, but I trust God, and I know He's gonna take me through it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult, to take that leap, that kind of step.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always a straightforward line, right? Like, the people talk about success like something that you just improve on every single time. Like, you just keep walking up the stairs, or like climbing the ladder. I guess is one way that is being put, or
Mm-hmm.
going, climbing the mountain or whatever, and that implies that you're going up. But now, what's funny on this is, if you've ever climbed the mountain, and I have a couple. A lot of times you have to go down in order to go back up later down, because like the best way is not, it's not the straight line, but it's sometimes you have to go down and around into a different angle of the mountain to like have an easier climb, a
Yeah.
safer climb even. So yeah, sometimes you just have to, like, there are ups and downs that people don't talk about when it comes to success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing. Been trying to build this small business pretty much, and I do videography, photography. Um, I've done a little bit of voice work in terms of just how do you say, advertising, not really like acting voice work. But it's also given me a lot of time to be able to also pursue more personal projects, a lot more time to do that. Like, this podcast is part of my YouTube project, and I have other stuff that I want to do. And I want to get into music, and uh, one of the other things I want to do is like form a band, and all that, thankfully, really ties into what I want to do as a career. So, I see that, I find it very, I guess, in a way, fulfilling, and I know that I'm going on the right path. But
Yeah.
moreover, as a Christian, I've been serving in the church a lot, and that was one thing that I wasn't able to do, specifically because of an issue that occurred at the last church, the church that we went together with. But ever since I started going to this church, basically, my cousin married a girl who, at the time, the pastors that are now pastors at this church, they were the youth leaders of this girl. So my cousin met them through his wife, and then they formed the church later, a couple years later after they got married. And then my cousin and her, they were the worship leaders. And then a few years later is basically when I joined the church after I left Casa de Oracion. So it's been fun because well, not fun, but it's been great because I've also, like I said, like I've been talking these past few chapters, I've seen myself grow spiritually, thankfully, at this church. Like, it's been a place where I've been able to really spiritually grow. Sometimes I
Right.
preach. For a time I was leader of the Hoviness, of the youth group there, but we don't really have a big youth group, so it kind of uh not disbanded, but I gave that to another person for
Yeah,
them to
you
take charge.
handle the ministry.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah.
have a hand in the ministry, and it's just been great. I've been making more friends. It's a very small church, so everyone there knows each other by name, and most of them are like extended family of the pastors. So we actually hang out a lot. And one of the things that we're
Hmm.
doing right now is we're actually going to each other's houses on a separate day, and then we're having basically like a study, like a Bible study, and just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to actually have community within the church,
Right. Community
which
and fellowship, right?
exactly, yeah. That's part of what's been helping me grow spiritually. And and yeah, I've learned a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately for you, you came in at a time where things were kind of like, you know, already on a very precarious situation at at the old church,
Mm-hmm.
and and let's be honest, you didn't make it easy on most people at that time. Um,
I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, you by your own admission, your personality, you came in and you said like, I know my personality is not the best for or the favorite for everybody, and so you kind of presented yourself, either maybe to the way I see it, and I don't think I ever told you this, but the way I see it, this was kind of like a subconscious strategy where like you present yourself as somebody who's not lovable or not friendly,
Mm.
and then that way people don't really aren't really friendly or like you, then you can just be like, oh well, it is what it is. It happens a lot. It's like an emotional thing where people like basically act the way they think that people are gonna perceive them.
I see.
Um, to like to prevent to like like a getting ahead of things, right? Like before you reject me, I'm gonna reject myself,
I
and
see.
therefore when you reject me, it's not gonna be that bad. And I just remember when you came in and introduced yourself, it was like almost like I'm not sure if I want to be your friend, guys, and so everybody's kind of like not sure how to approach you. So and again, already this is like a stressful climate, right? A stressful atmosphere that's been going on for a couple of months now there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you came in. Also, you came in when I was gone. I don't know if you remember that, but like I had gone to a different church for like a month and a half.
Mm.
Um, and the first time that I came back, um, you were there with the other person who came in at the same time as you, and and so there was like 3 or 4 new people by the time I came back. So
Oh, I see.
it was one of those things where like it was you came in at a very strange time,
Mm.
um, in the ministry in the youth ministry at that church.
Got you.
Yeah.
Mm. It's so, in a way, cringy hearing how I was. Pretty much. Oh man, it's just you
Look,
know.
tell me how honest you want me to get, man, and I can tell you a lot of things that people not necessarily say, but attitudes that were taken that you might not be aware of because because I did because I like so again also for in people who don't know like at that church. Um, I was not at that time the youth leader. I was the assistant youth pastor, I guess youth leader. We didn't
Hmm.
use the word pastor, right? We used the word leader. So I
Yeah.
was the assistant youth leader, and but my job, my self-assigned job, had always been to be the eyes and ears, right? Like
Yeah.
I was always like informed of what people were doing, not necessarily like in a malicious way. Like it's just people always talk to me and always like confide in things in me a lot.
Hmm.
That's just something that people have done all my life. So I decided to take that into advantage. And so if something was happening that the leadership was unaware of, I would be the one to bring it. Hey, I know you guys are planning to do this, but do you realize that blah blah blah? Like that was
Yeah.
my job to like be that informant to a certain extent. And so that's how I knew something, some of that situation, because other people were like, yeah, like the new guy is kind of odd, and so I wasn't there when you first came in, but I did hear a lot about it later on down the line.
Yeah. I think it's best if I don't hear it, just because.
Totally fine. That's what I'm saying. Like, no, depends
Yeah.
how much you want to know. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Well, it's not that like I want anything to be filtered or unsaid. It's just that I feel like it is better that what someone else said in a more private manner remains that way. And
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, and I wouldn't be betraying anybody's like trust or like giving you like gossip. I'm just saying like, in general, there was like you do remember this, right? That there was like a sort of like an in group, like an inner circle, and then there was like a broader group, and then there was just like the edge, like what you call it.
Wait, are you
Uh,
talking about like the adults or like the actual youth?
the youth, like the youth group in general, like both leadership and students.
Yeah, yeah. I
Right, like
was
there
I
was
was I also feel like I separated myself cuz I was pretty much the oldest one in the group.
right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. You were the oldest one at the time. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And so you did feel because we didn't have a young adults group. We only had a
Yeah.
youth group. So it was 13 through 30 basically to 29.
Yeah.
So yeah, the range was pretty wide, and you were on the upper edge, and there was not a lot of like in between you and the next people down,
Yeah.
uh, age wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't be betraying somebody's trust, because this wasn't said to me in confidence.
Hmm.
It was just comments that were made,
Yeah.
and sometimes people say stuff when they don't think people are paying attention,
Yeah.
and sometimes they reveal things without meaning to, and
Hmm.
that's what I was gonna say. But like, no, no, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Nothing bad. It's just like how you presented yourself, which you said, like, how you separated yourself. It's just how you conducted yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I do remember, like you said a couple minutes ago, that I did present myself as, and I'm pretty sure I even told you specifically that how do I put it? It's because I was aware that I was depressed. Like,
right.
it wasn't something that I was hiding or anything. So I think I came with the idea that I want to just be honest with where I am, and if that off puts people, well, that's the reality of it. I think that's been a mindset of mine for a long time, and I'm sure that contributed to it.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, you're very tall and you were very quiet, and tall and quiet tends to be intimidating. Um,
Yeah, I've
so
had.
you're adding your physical attributes to your attitude, to your self presentation. It was a lot of things that were just it made it difficult for people to approach you.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I still got that even when I worked at the restaurant where I ended up working.
yeah, it just happens. I'm the opposite, right? I'm the short, talkative guy, and I guess that's probably also why I get told a lot of things all the time, is because I
Hmm.
just have the opposite effect, where like I'm not very, though I have been told that I'm intimidating just within like ministry
Hmm.
wise, because I can be very intense about ministry.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, yeah, I'm not gonna keep beating the horse. The funny thing is that like I was basically, when I was going to go through all of that, I was basically assigned to like figure out how to like approach you.
Yeah.
You were you to a certain extent, I was like, okay, like they were like, okay, who wants to deal with this new guy? Sort of thing. It wasn't said like that, but it was kind of like, nobody was being direct, and so I was like, hey, I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
Like I like nobody really seems to be very excited about this idea. So let me just take on it, because again, I always felt like that was my job. Let's just do what people don't want to do.
Hmm.
Let's do the thing that needs to be done. It's always been my attitude towards ministry to do what needs to be done,
Hmm.
uh, especially the things that other people don't want to do but needs to be done. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody has got to do it, so why not me? It's always been my philosophy in that regard, because I regard anything I do ministry wise as a offering.
Yeah.
Like it's every time I do something, especially if I don't want to do it, my attitude is like, okay, Lord, I'm doing this. I really don't want to. So like, this is an offering. This is a sacrifice. Help me through this, right?
Hmm.
And I just go for it.
Yeah.
And I don't let my own hang-ups and my own inhibitions, I guess, or not inhibitions. That's not the right word. My own prejudices. There you go. That's the word. My
Hmm.
own prejudices get in the way, right? Just because I think something's not a good idea, but it needs to get done,
Yeah.
I'm still gonna do it, right? I'm not gonna fight people on it. If it needs to be done, it needs to be done. So anyway, yeah, that's where I was going with all this. It's like you came in, it was a little odd. I came back I think a couple of weeks or a week later. Like I don't remember if it was 1 or 2 weeks after you first came in. Um, and I came back to church. It was after Christmas.
Hmm.
I do remember that. So it was like January, like the new year, right? And so I come back in and I'm like, oh, we have new people. And like, yeah, we need to talk to you about it. And like we had a meeting a couple of days after the youth meeting, and that's when I was there, and I was like, okay, I guess I gotta be his new best friend. And it was I made a conscious effort to continuously like invite you to things, include you to things, and that's also eventually when the job opportunity came along. that's also how that was. I thought of you because I was like, okay, well, this would be a perfect time for me and him to even get to know better because we'll be working in the same place.
Yeah. And it turned out, not the best. It wasn't like the smoothest or anything, but for God works, and I think it worked out for the best in the end. Yeah.
Absolutely. I always think that um, there's this a preacher, Chip Ingram,
Mm.
and if you ever get a chance, you should listen to him. He's got a like a podcast of his own. Like it's not really a podcast, right? In this sense, it's like the old school like Christian podcast, where it's basically just the preaching,
Like a
but it is
devotional, or
reform. The what?
well, maybe not like a devotional, but
No, it's literally just his preaching on Sundays.
oh, okay.
Turned into audio, but it is reformatted. Like you can tell, as somebody who knows audio, you can tell when they cut something out.
Yeah.
So it is they take his preachings and they edit them and reformat them um, down for audio consumption.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing about him is that he works in series, right? Like he does like that thing where like
Mm.
this month we're gonna be talking about this specific topic,
Yeah.
and so he follows up each topic, and he does a lot of like his church does offer a lot of uh, devotional programs like or even study group programs
Mm-hmm.
where like, hey, we have this whole pack already packet and like with a book for you to like host a small group, and then you can listen to the preachings on your own time or together and then discuss. Here are the discussion questions. So like he facilitates study groups for a lot of people, and he's
Yeah.
an amazing theologian as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got this one about God's love for us, and he's got one a series that talks about whatever you are, as bad as it is, God has been working to make it the best possible scenario.
Yeah.
Um, that's paraphrasing. I was trying to remember exactly the way, but I've believed that for a long time. No matter how bad things get, if I am living my life trusting God and trying to do my best to follow Him, wherever I am, I have to be conscious that God's been working to, sorry, God's been working to make it the best possible scenario.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it is the best possible scenario ever. It just means that within what I've been, my own actions and the actions of others around me, and my shortcomings, this is the best possible thing that I could be living in,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, we play a bigger role in our own destinies and lives than people realize. People like to think that bad things happen to us, and they do. But the reality is that most of the time, we kind of limit how much God can work in our lives, and therefore put ourselves in situations where bad things can happen.
Mm.
So we have to remember that even against that, God's like, okay, he made a bad decision. Let me work to make that the best possible in that scenario.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever you look back on your life, well, if you have an artistic mind, because not everyone has that creativity, but they can
Right.
see the way that God weaves your life in a way. Because if you look back, it's, I don't know, it's just it'll be crazy how you could see parallels, you could see ironies, you could see different things that brought you to where you are, and it's like there's an artist at work.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You realize, in hindsight, the things that you maybe should have seen when it was happening, right?
Yeah.
You realize that one missed opportunity was actually God protecting you for from a bad situation down the line.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that when like an opportunity closed and I was very disappointed. And then later down, I heard about how bad the people who got that opportunity were having it because of the person they were directly interacting with.
Yeah.
And so I realized that, if that would have been me in that position, I would not have been able to handle it. So in a way, that was that missing an opportunity, or that specific opportunity was God protecting me from a situation that He knew I was not going to be able to handle.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and that's what I mean. It's like even in bad situations, we have to realize God's like literally consistently trying to make our lives the best that they can be.
Mm-hmm.
which can be really, I understand that it can be a little discouraging to somebody who's going through really hard times, to
Yeah.
be like, what do you mean this is the best possible? But the reality is that, bad everyone has bad times, and doesn't mean that that's the end of it. It's always, you gotta move past that and realize that eventually God will get you past that as well.
Yeah. Well, kind of to bookend this, there's a meme that's that's like it's more related to dating, but it says something along the lines of when a girl comes into your life and God's up in heaven and he's seeing it, and that girl's not for you, it's not meant to be your wife, and it's just a meme, it's just a joke, but he says character development. Like
Oh yeah.
he's like throwing, he's like that's what it's serving as.
That you're correct. Like
Yeah.
we God uses that to help us, to help reshape us into who
Uh-huh.
we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're getting closer to our time here, but before we go, I did want to talk to you a little bit about something outside of
Okay.
Christianity. So I texted you this, but I wanted to hear your thoughts right now about DC, because back in the day we talked a little bit about superheroes and stuff, and I know that's one of your things,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I enjoy it too. I wanted to start off with asking you, because I don't remember if I've asked you this before. Do you have a preference between DC and Marvel, or do you just
Yes,
you do?
yes,
Okay,
I do.
so
And
go ahead.
are you sure we're close to the end of time? Because you're just open a whole can of worms here.
Well, we had agreed on a time, and I don't know how much time you have. I'm good for time,
I'll try to be brief because this could be a 3-hour podcast if you're asking me about comic books.
and that's
Um,
fine. I'm just saying, I have the time. I just wanted to make sure you're good.
yeah, yeah. No, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate your consideration.
Yeah.
Okay. What's my favorite? Do I have a favorite? Yes, I do have a favorite. If you're talking comic books, DC has had the superior comic books,
Okay. In comic
with
books.
very few exceptions on Marvel's side, for decades.
Okay. Got you.
DC was the leading comic book, you know, writing style, art, everything
Mm-hmm.
for a very long time. If you don't know this, Marvel actually went bankrupt on the comic book side
I was
a
literally,
long time ago.
I was about to mention it because you
Yeah,
talking about comic books. I don't know about the comic books, but I did
yeah,
know
no,
that they were going bankrupt. Hence, why they sold like Spider-Man to Sony, Hulk
yeah.
to at the time
So
Universal.
this is 2000. I'll get here's your history lesson for today, right?
Yeah, I got
Back in
you.
the early 90s, or yeah, in early 90s, comic book collecting became a really huge deal.
Hmm.
And I could be off on my dates. Some other better comic book nerd out there might correct me in the comments, even if you have a comment section on this. But yeah, in the early 90s, comic book collecting became a big deal, but then it became a sort of its own economy, right? Where people
Hmm.
were just buying the comic books because the value they might acquire down the line.
Pretty much what's going on with Pokemon cards.
In a way, yes. But the problem is that that gave the false signal to comic book houses, the creating houses,
Mm.
that they needed to create more comic books.
Hmm.
So then there was they started hiring more writers, more artists, and creating more comic books, and they're giving comic books to characters that no one wanted to see. Uh, you know, if you love Aquaman, that is your thing, and I respect it. But man, they have some boring stories,
Hmm.
and nobody really cares about Aquaman that much. That he needs his that his psychics need ongoing series on their own, right? Like you wouldn't want to see the psychic storylines
Yeah.
because we barely care about the main character anyway. But they were doing that kind of thing where they were taking characters that didn't really need their own series and giving them series, which cost money to develop, to publish, to all that. And the only reason that they were doing that is because sales were up.
Yeah.
Well, eventually, in the by 2000s, the late 90s and 2000s, there's a bust, right? Like people realize that the comic books that they've been buying are not holding on the price and actually not increasing in price. So they're not as valuable as they think. They're hoping that they can buy a comic book this year and sell it back for like 100 times more in 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so the return on the investment is taking too long to come back, and people are starting to sell their comic books and stop buying new comic books, so then sales plummet.
Yeah.
DC had partnered at this point. If you recall, there's this amazing thing called Batman the Animated Series, which if you have not seen it, go stream it right now. You will thank me later. Anything that you think about Batman, cause iconic. Anything, Harley Quinn. The first appearance of Harley Quinn was on Batman the Animated Series. So
Mm-hmm.
when you think of iconic Batman things, it came out of that series, and that's happening at this time in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
So this has got this extra money cash with Warner Brothers, and like their cushion. So when the sales plummet, they don't go bankrupt because they have this whole side gig.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Marvel didn't have that, so they go bankrupt. I mean bankrupt. Like there's no money, and so
Yeah.
the
They.
first thing they do, is they actually sell the rights to several characters that nobody care about, like really that weren't that popular. One of them being Blade, and what's his Leslie Snyder, I think is the name of the actor that
Yeah.
played him in that movie.
It went to
That became a
Fox.
huge deal,
I think
huh?
it went to Fox. I think.
I think so. So yeah, but that movie actually gets produced, comes back, and actually makes money,
Mm-hmm.
and then people are like, "Hey, Marvel, what other characters do you have for sale?" And then Spider-Man gets bought out, and the first Spider-Man movie came out, and people like to attribute Spider-Man as the beginning of the comic book movie era, but really it
It's
was
Blade, isn't
Blade.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, Blade was way before Spider-Man, and the success of that movie, slight as it might have been, is the reason why even Spider-Man was even considered to be done. So anyway, yeah, and so if you all of that to say that to me, Marvel has had good stories. Obviously X-Men have always been amazing because X-Men have many different layers to them.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's my favorite hero, so his series have always been really good. Um, but Iron Man was terrible. Thor storylines are where unless you were a really huge nerd, you really didn't care for all of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
No one knew who Thor was, back when the first Iron Man movie came out. And I mean that seriously. Like I will say, like, yeah, they're trying to form the Avengers, and people will look at me like, what the heck? What? Like
Yeah. No
they're just
one.
like,
No one caught on until the actual Avengers formed.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
By the time the Avengers came out, like, or actually by the time that Thor came out, because Thor came out before the Avengers, the first Thor movie, there was a sort of like renaissance of Marvel.
Yeah.
Uh, but, and then unfortunately for me, DC got fell asleep on their laurels, right? They like, oh, we got it figured out. We got Warner Brothers as our production house for
Mm-hmm.
movies and shows, and we don't have to worry. And so because of that, they didn't care about quality, and they thought that
Yeah.
anything they put out was going to be a gold mine because Marvel was doing something that's genius, and that honestly, I'm surprised that they stuck to it, which is the long game, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were planning the first phase one, what we now call phase one. At back in those times wasn't a phase; it was just the plan, right? It was just
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. We're aiming to create all the way to Infinity Wars. Through a series and build up this universe, this Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
DC saw that and was like, well, we can do that, sure. And so they were trying to do it their own way.
I feel
Um,
like they rushed a lot though
they
because
did.
because
They
they
felt like they were falling behind, so they
they
rushed a
they
lot of it.
built up the Justice League in, let me see, it was Man of Steel,
Yeah.
and then was the next movie Batman v Superman?
No, it was the actual Batman standalone. What was it? Batman standalone?
No,
It must have been. No, you're right.
there's no standalone
There was no
in
standalone
that.
with Ben Affleck. There was just like the Batman versus Superman. You're
Yeah,
correct.
they went right into it, and
Yeah.
there was
And then it
just
was Wonder Woman, I think.
yeah.
Which Wonder Woman, honestly, is the only good movie out of that. Man of Steel's got its moments, and Batman vs Superman's got its moments.
Hmm.
A lot of people hated the Batman vs Superman resolution of the conflict.
Yeah.
I thought it was genius to an extent. But people just didn't buy it. People didn't go for it, and if people don't go for it, then it's a failure.
Yeah.
Um, their Lex Luthor was terrible. Which, by the way, okay, this ties us back to to now, right? Back to the present.
Hmm.
Man, does DC have a good thing going on now?
Okay, but do you want to go right into this? Because I do have questions about this one. Or
Okay,
do
go
you
no,
want to
go,
stay a
go,
little bit back about what happened before?
I mean, there is not much else. All I can tell you is that the best example I can tell you of how little of a plan they had
Hmm.
is Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
if you
it's
remember
evidence of it.
that movie was shot and then reshot and then reshot,
The first one.
and the reshot twice.
Hmm.
And the ending, the movie that we ended up with, while it's fun to watch, it's got some dumb logical fallacies, right? Like,
Hmm.
we are a family. Like, you just met yesterday.
Yeah,
And so jumping to family as like we should be together, like work as a family, was too much of a stretch, and that only came about because the original line was like we're a team, right? But they wanted to make it a family because they were trying to compete with Guardians of the Galaxy, who did become a family. But obviously they had several adventures that they went through the movie versus Suicide Squad that has the one adventure basically.
yeah,
Um, so that the introduction of comedy into the movie was unnecessary because they tried to make it a little too, again, competing with Guardians of the Galaxy. They were like, let's make it funny too, and they reshot some things. They wasted one of their best characters in the movie, which is Diablo. Like, man, like the darkness of that character, the idea that like he was so bad that he realized he needed to change. Can you imagine a movie where you develop that character further and you give the Latino community somebody to like latch on to, like, hey, you don't have to be a gangbanger, you can be move beyond that. It would have been amazing, but they just wasted him in that movie by never using him and then using him at the end as a trump card.
yeah,
So that's the best example of how little like foresight they had. They were just trying to like be they were trying to do to join the cash grab. Like, hey,
yeah.
we need to make a movie so to make money now, rather than what Marvel did, which is like, hey, I have a plan to make money in 10 years. If you stick with it now and you invest in it now. And that's what they did. Each movie built into it and built up the hype towards when you came. Like, if you remember, Endgame, even more so than, I mean, Infinity Wars was insane, but Endgame was like sold out weeks in advance.
Yeah.
And it was sold out for the entirety of the time that it was on theaters. Like, I think it was like most theaters were like fully packed anytime that they showed the movie, the entire time that it was there, because it was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
But it was only a phenomenon because Marvel was smart enough to build up to that, and DC didn't.
Hmm.
Now, let's transition now over to like the present, right? Like, what happens is DC now sees who's actually making the iconic stuff at Marvel, and the few people that did it had very specific situations. The only person that did it consistently was James Gunn, and they poached him. They're like, hey, you want to run this whole thing over here?
Yeah.
Which I was very skeptical at first of James Gunn because I do know his work, and uh, I know that I am familiar with his style, and I was like, man, I don't know if people are gonna go for it. Like, DC has always been a little more gritty, a little more dark in general,
Hmm.
um, but
the
honestly,
the
the this
commentary around it has proven that
right, right,
before Superman even came out, the people that were, I guess, loyal to Snyder were really
yeah.
just trying to take it down, and no one's seen the movie yet, but they're just like,
Oh well, I can tell you that's how you can tell somebody who's not a fan,
uh-huh,
somebody who's just obsessed. A
yeah.
fan loves the character no matter what.
I'm not the biggest superhero fan and stuff. Like, I don't know every detail about these characters. Like, I was gonna go into it in a bit about Mr. Terrific, because for me,
Yeah,
Mr. Terrific is someone I did not know until this movie, and I
right,
still I still don't even know. I saw a little video about it backstory, but that's not one of the things that I'm well educated on. Now, Superman, like anyone pretty much on this planet, recognizes that name, and there's
right.
been, I guess, not really debates, but people questioning the character and how it should be. And I've seen
So
the well. Let me point out a few things
yeah,
real
go ahead, go
quick.
ahead.
So from the Snyder side, I see a lot of people talking about how Zack Snyder portrayed him as like a messianic figure, and you can actually, yeah, I in a way agree with that because you can see it in the movies when, there's a lot of moments where it's just like, um, beautiful shots taking place, but it
Hmm.
doesn't make sense. Like there's a part in Batman v Superman where Superman goes to save like people that are in a flood, like they're on the roof.
Yeah,
And you don't see him save anyone. You just see him floating and they're like
right,
reaching out to him, but nothing's happening. Like in the time that he's up there floating, there's someone else probably around there close to dying. And he's Superman. He should just be able to be swooping around and doing stuff. But they want to get that, that perfect shot of him
right.
up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And then now in this movie, he's aside from the aesthetic and everything, but I like the character, and it feels more like what Superman is, at least the way that I perceived it from everything that I've seen in the past and what I've heard about how Superman is supposed to be. It feels more in line with how the character is meant to be, because he's not supposed to be a god. He's supposed to be an alien that grows up here and falls in love with humanity and wants to protect it. And so he's selfless in everything, and he's not dark and brooding.
So yeah, so you hit on two things there that actually were the main reason why the not the main, so they're real big critiques of the Snyderverse.
Hmm.
One is he made Superman broody, and somewhat dark, by killing Zod in the very first movie. Because
Hmm.
Superman, just in general, Superman just does not kill. Like he
Hmm.
avoids that at all costs. Um, Batman actually kills more regularly, but avoids gun use, which is an interesting, the if you watch, what's the guy's name, with John Cena? What's his character? I'm blanking out now. Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sometimes I start thinking of too many things at once.
Hmm.
Peacemaker is a kind of a critique of that when he says, "I love peace, and I don't care how many women and children have to die to keep it."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that idea that Batman loves his rule of not killing and not using guns so much that he was willing to like let other people suffer as long as he doesn't have to be the one killing.
Yeah.
Um,
That is a critique that I've seen. On a sidetrack, have you seen the memes about this?
yeah,
Like Batman won't kill, but then people make edits of him literally breaking people's backs and stuff. Like especially in the
yeah.
video games and stuff. It's
Right, right.
hilarious to
So,
see.
like even in the comic books, it's like the thing is the don't kill rule is really not a rule for Batman. I mean, the rule is I don't use guns.
Uh huh.
No guns. That's his rule. That's really his rule. He is very willing to hurt people pretty bad. I mean, even in the Batman, in the Nolan Batman series, like they he breaks what's his name's legs. So
Hmm.
he's willing to hurt people pretty bad, almost to the point of death. And I've seen a lot of those you know memes and videos where they like do like compilations. Those
Yeah.
people were probably not dead. Were they paralyzed? Probably, but that doesn't mean they're
Yeah.
dead. So like again, it's that like how far are you willing to take the line? But on the other side, Superman knows that he can kill anybody with just his pinky,
Yeah.
and so he doesn't. Right? He abstains completely from that. So
Hmm.
here's the difference. Snyder tried to make a critique, honestly, to a certain extent, of religion in his movies, right?
Hmm.
Like he tried to make Superman seem like people were worshiping him because he was. And then he tried to make detractors of that, just like religion has detractors of religion, right? Like, oh well, but you're not perfect, and neither claim to be so.
Hmm.
But there were those critiques of like, well, why him? And so like at the same time, and still today, there's critiques in our country of like why Christianity. Um,
Hmm.
so there were parallels there, and so what he was trying to do is he was trying to make make Superman look like a god, so that other people were afraid of how much influence and power he was holding, which is exactly Batman's point. You're too powerful.
Yeah.
Um, and so the shots, honestly, while they look funky, is because they're not really meant to say like this is happening. It's like this is how he's being perceived. You know, like he's being perceived as this god thing,
Like
god person.
they call it today aura farming.
Right there you go. Okay, aura forming. There you go. So like, you're gonna have to teach me some more slang because I the more I see, the more I'm like, oh, I'm out of the loop, man.
No, no,
Uh,
I'm only a few years younger than you. I'm right there with you in a lot
yeah,
of
but you're
stuff.
still in contact with young people out here in Colorado. I'm dealing mostly with like uh 20-year olds in my classes, so like 20+ year olds in my class. So I don't get the new slang from the teens and the early 20s like I used to. I'm in that fresh contact. But
Gotcha.
anyway, going back to what I was saying is what Snyder failed to do is realize is that in the comic books, Superman has always been hope,
Yeah.
and the reason for that is because he counters Batman's fear, right? Like the Christopher Nolan movies, emphasize on that Batman needs to be something that like instills fear in the criminals. Well, you can't just instill fear in the criminals because then sometimes people also get afraid of you because of that. So to balance that, Superman is hope that that we're going to do the right thing, and so therefore you have fear into the criminals, hope for the innocent, and that becomes a very strong duo, which they are and have been for decades. Um, but Snyder failed to realize that, and by making Superman scary in a sense, right? Scary, powerful, scary, like he could be brainwashed, scary, all of these things, because that's where he was going with the Justice League. He was going into the idea that Darkseid was going to brainwash him. This happened all in the animated series, by the way. Again, go back and watch Superman animated series from the 90s. Masterpiece still today. Uh, and so all of these things have already happened. So he's trying to lead the audience into this idea that Superman's gonna become like bad, and so therefore the Justice League has to band together to counter his power. But in the process, he's eradicating so many things about Superman that are essential to his character. Um, and so the whole universe turns so dark so quickly.
Yeah.
What's funny is that while this is happening, DC had this series with Batman called Dark Metal, Dark Knight's Metal. I believe it was a full series, which is showing Batman what would happen in the worst case scenarios, right? Like the worst Batman case scenarios,
Is that part
and
of
he has to
the
fight.
film?
What?
Are you talking about still those cut
No,
scenes
no,
from
no.
the film?
This now I'm talking about the that at the same time the movie's being produced and it's out there. Uh, DC is creating this comic book called Dark Knight's Metal, which focuses on all the worst nightmarish parts of Batman and like the worst Batmans ever. Like
Oh, okay.
basically Batman as a villain,
Oh,
but
okay, got you.
and so Batman's having to contend with all of these terrible things about his personality and or versions of himself who are evil. Like they have a Batman Flash, basically, a Batman Aquaman, like that kind of thing. It's just like it's the darkest, like the darkest timeline, basically,
Got you.
the nightmare situation. And it's funny to me because they didn't see the irony that they're telling in the comic books they're telling this story where like if we go super dark it's really bad, but in the movies they're actually doing just that.
Yeah.
Again, lack of direction, lack of an oversight, right? Like nobody was keeping the ship steady. It was just going wherever the money was.
Also, the story kept on shifting between because the directors weren't also aligned.
Exactly. That's
So
what I
it's
mean.
like, yeah,
There was no grand vision.
yeah,
And I cried and I lamented it for not. I didn't physically cry. I mean, I lamented the failure of the movies for a long time because I love this and I'm telling you, you want to read a really good story, go read a Batman comic book. Go read a Flash comic book, man. Some of the Flash comic books are like really good.
yeah.
Um, Superman struggles with the fact that he is invincible, but even his comic books find a way to make that interesting when the movies and the shows have not been able to. Um, And so all that to say, like that, when they poach James Gunn and bring it over to direct now the new DC universe, it was a genius stroke, a stroke of genius for him to like start with hope.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't help that at this time in our politics in our country there is a sense of hopelessness. So I mean, it doesn't hurt that's the case. It actually like amplified it even more to the point that some people felt like the movie was made with some political intention. I'm like, no, man, you just don't realize how hopeless our situation is in the real world right now. That a movie about hope seems political. So
So how do you?
we're back to the present, and I believe you have questions.
Yeah. So we're still on Superman. How do you feel about James Gunn's Superman in this movie? How did you feel about it?
I have a couple of concerns
Okay.
about it, but he's doing something that most people have not done.
Got you.
Most Superman movies present you a Superman that is sure of his mission and sure of himself. He has gone through. If you're familiar with the Superman media, you know that there was Smallville a while back, a long, long running series, right? And in that series, you see all the things that shape Superman into the hero who he is as an adult.
Yeah.
Well, most movies bank on the idea that you understand that happened, and so
You see a
therefore,
mature
this
Superman, don't you?
yeah, he knows he's a hero. He knows he's invincible. He knows that he can stop the evil. He knows he's sure, right? And he knows that his mission is this. Well, what? How do you fit all that into a movie? You can't. So what he did is instead he took away that certainty. The message from his parents was not full. He was not sure of who he really was. And so even the conversation with Lois Lane is like, how do you know how far you can go? How do you know? Like, and his whole point is like, I just want to do good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I want to do good. And so in that lack of certainty, he gives you this hope that he's doing his best and he's not sure, but he's trying. And
Yeah.
that gives him humanity.
And he
That
really.
that that doesn't make him the invincible god. It makes him the
Yeah.
invincible hero.
And he really pins that point at the end when he talks to Lex Luthor.
Right.
Uh huh.
Yeah. And by the way, Lex Luthor was the MVP of this movie. Man, did I hate that character with every fiber in my being. And that is what Lex Luthor should be. He should be so hated that I could not empathize with his struggle to, because he honestly all it is he's a struggled man, right? Like a struggling, complicated man that does not understand why Superman's getting everything handed to him when he's worked so hard all his life to build what he's got. It's his ego in many ways, but it's also just like he is honestly confused why he's not being praised the way that Superman is,
Yeah.
and he's jealous. And I can't even look at that and have any kind of empathy for him because I hated him so much. And that's a genius character, and the actor, man, blown away with the performance. He just sank into that character and like disappeared.
Yeah. Well, he tried out for Superman, is what I hear,
I know,
and he
which
really
is
loves Superman, which I think fueled
yeah.
that character even more.
I have heard the rhetoric that he's Lex Luthor was real because he came from a real place, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like actors, while he might love Superman, I don't think there was that feeling inside of him, like resentful towards the actor who did get Superman. I think that he just is a good actor.
Yeah. Maybe not, but maybe he was able to fuel the character for it.
Right.
Is what
Okay. I
what I
can.
mean.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure, like especially at the caliber of actors that they are, I think they are able to control that, to be like, oh, I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
get the
They
part.
have to have that training.
Yeah. So Lex Luthor and Superman. I wanted to go down the list.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Terrific, like I told you earlier, I didn't even know he existed. As
Yeah.
much as a fan I am about the idea of superheroes, I'm not one to say like I've always loved superheroes. No,
Right.
the MCU. the what was created and everything is what introduced me to it. So whenever it was brought into the mainstream, that's whenever I got into it and I understood and made a lot of connections because I like to watch retrospective videos about it and stuff. So yes, I am a fan, but I'm not one of those who says I've been here since the beginning and all that.
No,
I will
you're a new
not.
fan.
Yeah. So Mr. Terrific, I was gonna say a little bit about me. I really liked his character.
Interesting.
I don't know how do you say how reflective it is of the comics.
Yeah.
I've heard people talk about that he's supposed to be hinted to be like autistic, which I think people are just throwing stuff around because I don't really know if he is autistic. That would be like one of those. They say that autism has a very wide spectrum, so it's not like he's a level one or anything. So I don't think that there was any intention about that. I just think he's secluded in himself because he's very smart. And then
Yeah.
after learning a little bit about his backstory, if they're gonna keep that with this character, it makes sense that he lost
Right.
everybody and he wanted to commit suicide. And then, well, what I heard about from the origin story is that there was another entity that that talked to him and then presented him about becoming Mr. Terrific when there was one already before who died.
Mm.
So that's my understanding of the character.
So okay, that's actually really good. And honestly, I am. This is about as familiar as I am with Mister Terrific.
Oh, okay.
Um, he is not one of the characters comic books that I read because he was part of like he's never. I don't know. I might be wrong, but I don't think he's ever had his own comic book series. I think he's been part of like, team up for a long time. Um, and
Here,
because of that,
you broke up on my end. Could you repeat just what you said just right now?
sure, sure. I'm saying that like I might be wrong about this, but I don't think he's had his own comic book series.
Uh huh.
I think I mean he might have in recent years, especially with the movie just coming out. Because as you nowadays, originally the movies follow the comic books. Now the comic books follow the movies.
Mm-hmm.
We've swapped places in the origin of the canon.
Got you.
Um, like the comic books are often rewritten to match the screen. Um, and I have stories about that, but that can be for another time. But yeah, so what you said is about as familiar as I am with Mr. Terrific myself, because he's not been a huge hero. I was actually very excited when I saw that he was going to be in the movie, because I was like, okay, good. They're picking a hero that doesn't have a lot of baggage, right?
Mm-hmm.
A hero that's not like everybody knows him so well that we expect things. Like, well, no one knows what to expect from Mr. Terrific. He's not
Got you.
a hugely known hero. But James Gunn has been doing that. I mean, the Guardians of the Galaxy were a very small team a long time ago. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like the way the team that was not didn't have the membership that that he has in the movies, and so he chose the different members from the different eras to make the team that he wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very smart about that, and I think in this movie he did the same thing. Mr. Terrific, like I am not aware that he's autistic either. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I just
If
heard
they
that
do,
tossed around.
if they do include that in the movie, it actually would make sense to a certain extent because he's one of the smartest people in the universe in DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because of that, he's secluded. You know, much like Reed Richards is supposed to be the smartest person in the Marvel universe. I mean, even the smartest being, not even person. Like he is actually smarter than most alien races,
Mm-hmm.
if not all of them. He might just not have knowledge, but he can figure things out faster than everybody else can. Uh,
But
all
is that on a level with Brainiac, or is Brainiac just
Yes.
an archivist?
No, Brainiac is a being. Like Brainiac, but as you know, by the time that you know him as Brainiac, he's claimed self consciousness. So he is a being,
Okay.
and he's super smart. But he's they use this level this thing on this is called 12 level intellect,
Uh,
and I think Lex Luthor said it in the movie. Uh, that's supposed to be the top of the line. Like you are as smart as you can get because you can't measure past that. You know,
and
you're
Mr.
so
Terrific.
smart that we can't even measure how smart you are, kind of thing.
And I was bringing that up because Mr. Terrific is on par with him.
Yeah, no, no. Mr. Terrific is like, so okay. Full disclosure: there is no one top person in comic books on anything.
Uh,
Every the titles in comic books are traded depending on what the storyline demands.
yeah.
So while Reed Richards is known as the smartest being in the Marvel universe, sometimes his daughter Valeria might take the place. Sometimes, Victor Van Doom might say that he is just barely smarter. I mean, Victor Van Doom's always going to say that he's smarter than Richards, than Reed, but
Mm-hmm.
the story might portray as like, oh, Doom
I
actually
got
is
you.
slightly smarter than Richard.
Got
It's
you.
just they that gets traded. Same thing in DC. Like you have your 12 level intellects, and out of all of them, somebody said like, oh, the story might say like this actually is the smartest person. Lex Luthor is smarter than Brainiac because he has humanity and blah, and so they'll give him an edge.
Yeah. Got
But
you.
yeah, Mr. Terrific is a genius, and I think that that's why he's awkward because people who are very smart tend to be socially awkward for the most part. I mean, and so yeah, I think that's the case. I'm interested at the fact that you like the hero and somehow identify with him
Well,
or connect with him.
yeah. Well, I feel he's really grounded,
Yeah,
and he's he's brutally honest. He's just straightforward about stuff, and
I kind of had a feeling that was part of the reason why you like him.
yeah, and he does. You know, of some, I guess, negative things I don't like about him, in the sense of his character. Not that I don't like the character. I'm saying these are weaknesses that you could find in anybody,
Yeah,
and I appreciate that in the character. Like, it makes the character whole, but I don't like his pridefulness.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's more
Well,
like
it's
of a Christian thing, right?
right, right. But
Yeah,
if you notice though, like, and if I can interrupt here, um, that's a problem throughout the movie.
yeah.
If you pay attention, that's a problem in all of the movie. The pride of Lex Luthor, the pride
Hmm.
of Green Lantern, which by the way, I still can't believe they let Nathan Fillion be Guy
Yeah,
Garner. And
I want to get into that in a bit because I want
God,
to.
man, no, why? I love Nathan Fillion, but no, that was.
Okay, so you
I
don't
get
like
it.
it.
No, no, no. I get it. I get why they picked him. So I've been a fan of Nathan Fillion for a very long time.
Uh huh.
And and he like Firefly is how I first knew him. The show is a sci-fi show, but there is a little known, very little known that used to be web series. This is back in the infancy of the internet and in YouTube when we had web series,
Hmm.
where like people actually like produced shows for YouTube,
Yeah.
and you were waiting for the next show to the next episode to post. Man, that was a good time. Anyway, there was a lot of creativity, and there was a show called is that you can probably find it now as a movie, Doctor Horrible Sing Along,
Hmm.
and it was made by Neil Patrick Harrison. Amazing, amazing thing. Amazing movie. I guess now because they put them all together into a movie. You should watch it if you get a chance. They sing along a lot, and it's from the perspective of the bad guy.
Hmm.
But the good guy is really bad too.
Hmm.
And Nathan Fillion is the good guy. He's the hero, Captain Hammer.
Hmm.
Um, and he's just this jerk of a hero, and because he's the hero, he thinks he can get away with anything. Uh, and Guy Gardner has that attitude where like I'm the guy. I'm the guy. Like, you can't mess with me. I'm the Green Lantern kind of thing. So
Hmm.
I get it. Also, Nathan Fillion's been on so many other James Gunn projects, and James Gunn tends to just recast his friends, which is one of
Hmm.
the things I don't like about him. He's
Hmm.
like, dude, I know you're friends. Let's find somebody else.
Like
Come on
his
now.
brother.
Like his brother, like Michaela Hubbard is her name, which played Kat, the secretary.
Mm.
She's been in and out of every movie. Um, there's a couple other people. Nathan Fillion was in the Last Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So like he puts the same people in his movies regularly, like Adam Sandler's, and I hate that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I think it disingenuous. Like, I feel like that detracts from you trying to give me the best movie possible
Hmm.
as a director.
Hmm.
But that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, point being that Guy Garner he's got pride within himself. Hot Girl's got a certain level of pride as well about like, well, I'm just here. Well, there's this like pridefulness throughout, and that and Superman's breaking it because he's not prideful because he's not sure.
Yeah.
Everybody else seems to be sure of what they need to do except for him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, uh, and my main issue with Guy Gardner is, with Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner is he's too old and the haircut was terrible. And I know that the haircut is comic book accurate, and they're leaning into the comic aspect of things. Even they even acknowledge it during the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't need it. I could have done away with that. Like Guy Garner has had other haircuts besides the mushroom crop top or whatever you call it.
Mm-hmm.
So Hawk Girl was also a little bit of a disappointment in my opinion, uh, because she is such an interesting character. As I got to know her in the animated series, in the Justice League animated series.
She's another one that I have no idea about.
So
Like I've seen her, of course. She's one of
yeah,
the poster girls of the Justice League, so I've seen her
right.
plenty. Her image or her silhouette and everything, but I don't know much about the character aside from her and the guy re they reappear or something. Like they die, but then they come back.
In the movie.
As in, they reincarnate. That's something
Yeah.
that I heard about those characters that they reincarnate, and they're always
Oh, you thought
meant.
you okay? I get what you're saying. You're talking about the partner, Hogman.
Yeah, that they're supposed
Yeah.
to be star-crossed lovers or something like that. In every.
So that's from we're not gonna be able to get into this, but there's multiple universes within the DC
Uh
universe,
huh.
and
Yeah.
the Justice League of America was one of them, and then they eventually was a separate universe that merged with the main universe, and so the Justice League of America became like the precursor to the Justice League.
Yeah.
Um, they're basically all their heroes, the oh my god. See, I'm losing my street cred by not remembering people's names. But the first Flash basically was on supposedly, way back. I'm trying to remember the name, yeah, but I can't. I keep coming up with confusing names. Anyway, the first Justice League of America was a thing, and that's where you have different heroes, and like the first Green Lantern was there. That's not a real Green Lantern, but it is. It's kind of confusing. So there's a lot of when they merged the universes, they made some things confusing. One of
Okay.
the storylines that they kept was, at least for the comic book, for the animated series, was the idea that Hawkgirl and Hawkman were star-crossed lovers and they reincarnated. But even in the show, that was proven to be a lie. That was not the case.
I got
So
you.
the
Okay.
the like basically what happened is another Hawkgirl is an alien as well. Is supposed to be, and she's supposed to be an adult, which is one of the things that I don't like about this Hawkgirl. She's a teen, and I'm like, I don't know if that how they're gonna make that work.
She looks
Like
like
if
a
you
young
see
adult.
young adult, but she looks honestly like they're treating her like a kid.
Yeah.
So
She's rage baiting Guy Gardner a lot and stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're treating the character like she's a young Gen Z,
Uh
very
huh.
young person. And to me that's like that's infantilizing a character that I know it as being very centered and mature from the animated series.
Okay.
Um
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I mean. Like, I don't know, it was a disappointment because she was just she was just a child. Uh and she didn't really carry her weight in the movies. Does that make sense? Like she wasn't really doing that much in the movie that you could see.
In an argument, in a way to argue it, that point, um, would you agree that I think that's the point? Because the title, of course, is Superman,
Yeah.
and then James Gunn is basically he's planting the seeds and basically saying that this is already an established universe, especially like with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first few minutes. He says it's been some so and so years, so and so minutes, and now this
Right.
is happening, blah blah blah. The Justice Gang is barely, well, like it's called a gang right now.
Yeah.
So that was the point, and that they didn't want to dive too deeply, but they wanted to sow to
No, no,
plant the
no, and I get
seeds.
that, but you compare that to the role that Mr. Terrific played in the movie. Compare that to the role that Guy Garner plays at the end,
Uh
as
huh.
somebody who intervenes. Like you get to see them as somebody who brings something to the table. And again, my problem is not that I don't like the character. Is
Nah,
that I think that they did a disservice to the character by making that decision.
got you.
um, like that by making her a childish and young and immature, uh, it's a disservice to the character itself. But maybe you're right. Maybe they mean to do that to give it a character development story at some point. Um,
She's. Have you seen anything from the show with the with dang
the thing about the
Peacemaker?
DC, what?
Have you seen anything from the Peacemaker's new season?
No, I'm not a fan of Peacemaker, man. I
I'm not.
avoid
I'm.
it.
I'm not either. And I'll tell you right now, it's since it's on HBO, it's very sexual and there's nudity.
Yeah, yeah. For one
But
thing, that was a
yeah,
problem.
here's one of the reason why I brought it up. So they have scenes in it. So Guy Gardner and Hot Girl
Yeah.
specifically have scenes in the show, at least in the first
Oh,
episode. So it gives you a little bit. It's not a lot. I'm just saying, like it fills in a little bit more of the world,
yeah.
and it just made it interesting. They kind of retconned in a way, or like basically James Gunn, from what I understand of how it is that the first season is canon, but it's basically like an alternate
Yeah, it's not a
universe
different
way.
universe.
So
So
like pretty much the same stuff happens whenever season 2 picks up, but they took some liberties and changed some stuff. So like at the
yeah,
end of the show of the first season, after it's like some big battle, I didn't watch it at all. But after the
you read the
final,
review,
I look up what happens
right?
to stay in touch with the story. And at the end of the show, at the finale, he's like walking out with his team or whatever, and then the old Justice League from Zack Snyder's are there. And like he cusses at them because they're late. And then like in the season 2, at the start, they do a little recap and they basically reshot that scene and then put Guy Gardner and Hot Girl and Mrs. Terrific and Superman
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
also Supergirl. Supergirl was in the
Yeah,
shot.
which that's also another thing that I wasn't interested in the movie. It didn't make sense a lot because depending on how they handle it, I guess they're gonna have a fix for it. But my problem is we're being told that Superman, Clark Kent, Kal-El, does not know a lot about his parents, and does not know a lot about his origins. And then you tell me that he knows, and he's been talking to Supergirl, who was older than him when when all that happened, and could have filled him in on any doubt that he had. So it's like, how does he not know then? You know what I mean? Like they kind of like defeat their own argument. So I don't know. I'm sure that James is gonna
Well,
come up with an explanation for that.
yeah, I think they gave themselves time to do that
Yeah.
because what would logically make sense with the information that we have is Supergirl would have came to Earth to destroy it
Maybe,
or to
and,
take over or to be like, hey Kal El, this is what we're supposed to do.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, no, you see her as being drunk and a party girl, and maybe she was given a mission and didn't and accept it and like
Mm-hmm.
rebelled. But again, my problem is that would have feed him information that we were told he didn't have.
Yeah.
So it's
Unless of
one of
course she kind of just showed up too
even if she just showed up like
recently.
recently, Superman listens to the audio recording on a regular basis. I
Yeah.
could not imagine that she did not realize, or that she, again, we're all speculating here, right? But
Yeah,
like
exactly. And we're just
it's
yeah.
in her presence throws that range where I'm like, it makes me think too many options are like could have been possible, and I don't like that. I think that her appearance at the end was an ill it was a bad idea in general. Like I think that we would have been fine without her showing up. or if she arrived on Earth at the end.
Well, her film is one of the ones for next year, the
I
next or
know.
so. I think that's the reason for it.
I know,
That's
I
the
know, and
tease.
it's all. You know, you have to also do PR at the same time as you're doing a movie. But I'm just saying, like, you know, creatively, like her character being introduced in the way that she was, as like they know each other.
Oh,
She like, you
okay.
know,
I
he
get
makes a
you. Oh,
comment.
okay.
He makes a comment. She likes to party on planets with red sun. You know,
Yeah.
that implies a knowledge of personality and character, and so having that, like knowing each other, it's a weird thing. Like, again, if he had just arrived at the end of the movie, like, hey, I'm your cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you no end of the scene? I'm like, man, that would have been like, okay, like now what are we gonna do? Or
Gotcha.
like she shows up like, that's my dog. You know,
That's
that would have
also
been a
that's also what you said. It makes more sense now because like I said, she's in the shot
yeah,
in where she's in the Justice gang. So
right.
it makes it even more confusing. I get what you're saying now.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, again, that those some like I said, I have some detractions from the movie, but overall it was a great movie. Um,
I really
I
enjoyed
I
it.
I think that, yeah, me too. I think that Zack Snyder's it's Zack Snyder, sorry. I think that James Gunn is being smart about what he keeps and what he takes away, and I think
Hmm.
he's really trying to do his best to like appease the nerds. And I say that without what's called derogatory, any kind of derogatory terms, because I consider myself a nerd.
Hmm.
Um, but we tend to be people that want to be very detail oriented, and we want things to make sense and have a continuity. Um, and I think he's being very smart by like rewriting and, you know, like the show, like redoing things where like, oh yeah, it used to be like this, but now we're like, this is a whole new thing.
Yeah.
We're doing away with things and giving us why and how, not just like rebooting. And
Yeah.
the reason I say that is because the comic books reboot a lot, and
Hmm.
everyone hates reboots.
Yeah.
Everyone hates a reboot in the comic book world, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, I got you.
So it is one of those things where like it's he's trying to play, you know, like play both fields in a way. He's
Hmm.
trying to like rewrite but also keep things, and, you know, and find a way to like make things be as as good for everybody as he can, which is smart. You know,
Hmm.
he's now starting to play the long game.
Yeah.
So DC might be 15 years late, but hopefully uh, they come in strong and they like really take the cake,
Yeah.
because that's my hope. I hope that
Yeah.
the new DC verse. I don't know what they're using. They used to do the DCEU, the DC extended universe,
Now it's
but
just
then
DCU. That's what they're
DCU, like
that's
they're
what they're
just the
calling
DC
it.
universe.
Uh-huh.
Um, anyway, I hope that like that that they're smart, they learn from their mistakes, and that James
Exactly,
Gunn
yeah.
takes us to a new height. You know, like I want to see a really good Batman movie with Superman. I want to see a really good Flash movie. I haven't
Hmm.
even seen the one from Zack Snyder, by the way. Like I hated Ezra Miller as a casting choice, and I really didn't even care to watch the movie.
Mm.
I probably should go back and watch it just so I know what, you know, what I missed
It's
out on.
it's
But
nostalgic.
is that what it is?
Well,
Yeah.
especially with the Batman being in it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I want to see that. I want to see other characters. You know, one thing that I love about the animated series when as a kid, and when I rewatch it, because I rewatch it sometimes,
Hmm.
is the fact that whenever they put a hero on the screen, they highlighted him in some way, right? They gave you an idea of who that hero was, and he played a role, and he wasn't just there to fill in a space.
Gotcha.
And I hope that they do that, you know, going forward, because it felt like in the past that's what they were doing. They were rushing to get the idea done, and, you know, destroy the character in the process. You know, like let's just get this, like let's get the Justice League, no matter, you know, regardless of how we get there.
Yeah.
That's not a smart thing. Like, you know, give me the character and then build around the character.
Hmm.
So anyway, just and to end all of this, because I do have to go now.
Hmm.
To give you an ending, the biggest blunder, and this is a very controversial take, by the way. Uh, the biggest blunder DC did was Jared Leto's Joker. And I don't mean that the Jared Leto was a bad choice. I think that is the opposite. I think that if you
The
watch
character, the
the
way that they did
extended,
it.
the what?
You're saying the way that they did his character.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I say that because of this. If you watch the extended edition of the Justice League of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the ending credits, the end credits scene for that movie, the Joker there is a whole different, character than what you saw in
Yeah, I saw it.
dude.
Hmm.
That's scary. That character was scary and was like interesting.
The
And had they
implications
given
about
us
it.
had they given us that Joker, man, a good Joker, as the Christopher Nolan movies have proved, can make a whole franchise.
Yeah.
And I think that I was very excited when Jared Leto was casted. I thought he was gonna do amazing because he is a pretty good actor himself. Um, and man, I was very disappointed with what we ended up with because I know that's not what we started. Like that's not what they started with. Again, the reshoots,
Yeah. They
the
redid a bunch.
redone. Yeah. So and when you watch that ending thing and you realize that that's what we could have had, I just I weep for the things that could have been.
Yeah. That's part of the not to take up too much more time, just to end it here, but that's part of the pain out of the old this previous DC universe is all the failures
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
together that totaled it, and all the potential, and yeah, it just sucks.
All the disappointments,
Yeah.
honestly, it's just all the disappointments.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, yeah, man, let's do this again sometime. We don't have to talk about comic books, but I have plenty more to say about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've got some other
if you
stuff
have
I
a,
want to talk to you sometime. 90s video games
oh,
is one of the things I wanted to bring up later on. So I've gotten
that's
into
an interesting one.
emulation.
The what?
I've gotten into emulation, so
Okay, interesting.
I've been having a history thing. But yeah, man, it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, yeah, same here, man. It's been a minute. I'm glad we got to do it. I did overextend myself. I'm not in trouble, but I am going to have to like start rushing to the next thing here in a little bit. But
Well, then let
let's
me
let's be
not.
talking. Let's set it up for another one.
Yes, sir. All right, I'll keep in touch with you, man. It's good to hear from you.
I mean, good to hear from you too.
All right, have a good one. God bless.
God bless you, man. Bye.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 11 of the Voice of Life podcast. Follow us on Instagram at YCLD_prod for news and updates on new podcast episodes, music, videos, and more. I'll see you guys next time. My name is Lucas, and this is the Voice of Life. Nos bendiga.